I wanted to spend just a few minutes walking through a marking rubric. So I'm going to zoom in. So this is nothing more than a simple table, but it has been thought through and it has been planned. Now this particular rubric is designed for an assessment which is their first assessment, which is a pitch. And it's worth 20% of their overall course grade. And so if we look down at the left-hand column, we can see assessed criteria. So there's about 5 or 6 criteria. One of them is a creative concept and treatment, target audience insights, mood board and style frames, timelines, budget, overall presentation. Now you can probably understand each assessment item and each rubric can be suitable and designed for a particular assessment task. And so the criteria can change as needed. And so you wouldn't generally have a criteria in a rubric if it's not needed. Now rubrics are really, really useful for teachers because they offer a systematic approach, and they also are useful for the student or the learner because a learner can see what they need to put into an assessment item. So they might just use this as a checklist themselves. So it's a really handy way to make the teacher's expectation really clear and explicit. Now you might notice across the top, I'll scroll across the top, we have work of an outstanding merit. That would receive a grade between 85 and 100. Work of considerable merit, that would receive a grade of between 75 and 84. Work which demonstrates sound, relevant knowledge and skills between 65 and 74. Adequate and satisfactory work between 50 and 64. And of course, if the student does a dreadful job and they're going to fail, overall unacceptable level of work. So just say that's the case. We'll give that person a tick. Demonstrates a lack of understanding of the creative brief. Sometimes that happens. Okay? So the teacher, when the assessment, in this case it's a pitch, so maybe the teacher might have a rubric in front of them as the students are doing their pitches, and they might just go through and place a tick in each box. So I think I might zoom out so we can see all these ticks. So I've decided I'm being a bit mean. So just say the student demonstrated a deep understanding of the creative brief. And then they demonstrated a comprehensive understanding of the target audience with relevant insights. So as you're completing each one of these cells within the table, it's always a handy idea to think, well, what sort of grade are you going to give? And so remember, this is just a range of grades, so between 85 and 100. So if they've done a really, really good job for all of them, but just say they didn't do such a good job with their budget for some reason, maybe they left their budget out. So we might just give them an unacceptable level of work, a lack of understanding, maybe that's too harsh, or just a satisfactory understanding of many of the budget allocations. So they were on track to receiving a grade between 85 and 100. Maybe the teacher was going to give them a grade of 90, but because of their dreadful budget, this might be dragged down a little bit. Maybe I'll do it here. So they gave a clear understanding of some, maybe not all of the budget allocation, just some. So they might get an overall grade for this particular task of 85, for example. So hopefully that has given you an idea as to what a rubric is and how it can be used.